Welcome to the Fishbowl Radio, everybody. My name is Chief here, and joining me today is Zane Hogue and Brandon Joseph. There are two former Raging Cajun cheerleaders here joining here on the Fishbowl Radio here today. And let me introduce all y'all to them. How's it going today, guys?
Well, I don't think we can hear Brandon, but it's going pretty good on my end.
Let's give him a second, guys. But yeah, Zane, I'll let you handle this first one here. Um, so Zane, why did you get into cheerleading? What was one of your inspirations, I guess you could say?
Uh, Honestly, happy accident. I was a wrestler in high school. And going into my senior year, I didn't think I was going to wrestle anymore. I just got a little tired of being as hungry as I was. I was going to take a year off, just enjoy senior year. And actually, one of my teammates walked up to me and said, "Hey, man, I'm joining the cheerleading team, and you should think about it." And at first, I was like, I don't know about all that. I don't know if I'm that guy. But he asked me to go to one practice. I checked it out, and they let me kind of experience it a little bit, and that's it. I was hooked. And then we started looking at UL cheerleaders, and that's actually how I met this guy over here, Brandon, and just that energy and that vibe mixed with the energy that you get from being in front of a crowd and on the sidelines. It was addictive, and I needed to do it.
Why did you get into cheerleading, Brandon? What was the inspiration for you to get into cheerleading?
Oh goodness. All right. So I'm gonna make sure I'm in the camera. So I got into cheerleading in high school, like my second half of senior year. It was like right after, throughout high school, I played baseball and football, and like my senior year, our football team did bad, and it kind of sucked. And during that time, one of my best friends actually from high school, he ended up joining the cheer squad, and it was like the talk of the school. And I was like, what? Like, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that? Like, what's going on here? And I don't know, when you hear a recommendation from a trusted individual, and he kind of set me down, he talked to me about it. I gave it a try. I came to practice. It was right after our last game of football. And I was surprised, man. It's a different world. It's a different physicality, than what you think it might be, but it's fun. It was eye opening, and that first practice. I mean, look at me. I guess now I've cheered for 5 years in college. Right after that, and I miss it. It was fun. It was very fun. Um, but yeah, pretty much my best friend got me into it, and then at the same time, actually, my girlfriend at the time in high school was also in a cheer squad. So that was also a
That
push
helps.
in the direction.
That
But
helps.
yeah, it definitely helped. And when I did it, it was just fun. I was like close to my best friend, and I had like more time with my girlfriend. And then like learning the different skills was very exciting too. Like when you finally get the chance to do it, it's like amazing. Like doing your first toss hands, you act Zane. Like you're like, what? You feel like Superman for a little bit. Then you learn more stuff after that, of course. But that's kind of how I got into it.
Okay, I'll go ask this to Zane because I know that y'all traveled to two different like away games. What was the most hostile environment you ever went through, Zane, in college?
Oh man, oh that's hard. Okay, so I will
If
say
you
that
can't answer it, you can go down to the top three if you had to pick.
I've definitely got two for sure. Sun Belt Championship, my second year. That was when UL went to App State to play in the Sun Belt Championship, and that game was so rough. Like we were being yelled at from every corner of the building, which was a blast. I mean, I grew up a pro wrestling fan, and I love the bad guys, so I like getting to like make people boo. So I got to have fun at those games. But it got to the point where we were messing with people so much that during halftime, one of my teammates and I went just to get a cup of like hot chocolate to warm up over there, and they had guys actually trying to like run up and fight us. And I don't know, I thought it was awesome. Like security had to come get them just so we can get back on the field. That was cool. And then my last year on the team, we went to Georgia Southern for an away game, and I have no idea what happened. I thought Georgia Southern was an awesome little spot, but man, they just were not having it with the UL cheerleaders. They were booing us at every opportunity they got, yelling, calling all the names in the book. So it's interesting.
So, which one would you say is the most like I guess the top tier one if you had to pick?
Uh
If
Man, I might honestly give it to Georgia Southern. I really might. Like you would
okay.
think that state in the Sun Belt Championship, you think that would take it, but man, just regular season Georgia Southern, third game of the year, it was it was hostile.
What about you, Brandon? What was your
You know
top
what? It's
three
kind of
areas?
crazy. It's kind of crazy. You know, Zane said App State and Georgia Southern, and I have to agree with him. Like, I believe the first year Billy started coaching when we made it to I guess like App State was like the last game, I believe. And like usually most of the time it's really hard to make me mad and get me out of my zone. And like I've been in a lot of hostile environments and I never really like let it bother me. I just, went with it. But for some reason, it was very cold that day. It was raining. It sucked out there. We were out like we are like at App State. It was like we played them. It was a away game. And I don't know, the people like Zane said, they were mean, man. They were like the fan, nobody never really got under my skin. Like one dude at the like before the game started, he was looking at me all crazy. And like when somebody looks at me crazy, I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on here? And I really don't remember what he said, but I was just like, it was weird because I felt like I was the only person on that trip that day during that game that was really mad the whole game after that, and I was just really fed up with the crowd because they're disrespectful, man. Like you can hear that like the like for example basketball games how the fans be mean to the basketball team because it's so close up because the cheerleaders are like right there, and sometimes when we're cheering we're like right in front of the student section, unfortunately for App State and for Georgia Southern. So that's probably why, when you're dealing with a bunch of drunk college kids and you're not drunk and you got to, represent the university in a respectable way, it's hard. And it kind of like those two, I would say, kind of almost got me over the limit. I mean, Georgia Southern, not too much because they were getting like everybody on the team mad because they were throwing threats and everything. They're crazy. They don't care, I guess. But I would say App State is number one for me. That was the most hostile environment to where like it took me out of my mode. And then Georgia Southern because they were just saying all kinds of stuff. They don't care. So that was pretty hostile as well. And like the other ones were really not as bad. Everybody usually are not as mean. But those two schools though, I don't know what it is, but them students are crazy.
I will
Okay.
say this: one time we went to Liberty my last year, and they were like the nicest people. We went and hung out with their cheer team before the game. Like they were awesome, and the fans for some reason just weren't really having it with us that day because we were being loud and obnoxious the whole game. Well, we messed up. At one point, we were just kind of talking amongst ourselves, grabbing some water, and our coach says, "Hey, it's been a while. Call a cheer." So we just started like calling like the UL cheers, give them hell UL. But we didn't realize that on the field they were doing like a tribute to like the armed services, like the
Oh,
military and such.
Oh goodness.
So like we started the cheer and we were like, oh, wait a second, they're doing that. So we like hurried up and stopped. And they had a guy that came from like 5 rows deep, just came all the way back down and started yelling, "You guys are terrible. You don't respect our military. How could you
Oh,
respect yourselves?" And we were like,
oh
oh
oh,
goodness.
man, didn't mean to do that. And like me, big military advocate, and big fan, I was like, I got a little fed up that day with that guy. Honest accident, but yeah. Other than that, Liberty was great.
yeah. It pays to have awareness, I guess, in those situations.
Yeah.
But now y'all, what was your greatest, I guess, game that y'all cheered for would be a better question to ask for y'all. Like, I guess the positive one.
Oh, uh man, I have I don't know if Brandon will say a lot of the same ones, but I got a lot of great memories from cheering at games. The first time I ever cheered at a UL game, just getting that vibe and being like on a college sideline and just feeling that kind of energy on a Saturday night was just something totally different. Like I'd never experienced something that like electric before, and it was really cool. And the last Sun Belt Championship game that we had at home at UL, that was my last home game. That was the last time I was going to be on that field. That was a life changing experience. I was emotional. I was excited. I was scared because of like life happening after that. That was just like a perfect moment and a perfect bow to put on everything. So as far as game day goes, that one probably takes it for me.
What about you, Brandon?
I agree with Zane on that part with like the game that I remember the most and being the most like happiest for is, again, it was like an App State game. I believe we were playing them. It was probably after that year we lost, and we were playing them at at our house this time, and it was like our turn. And I might be getting it wrong. It could have been like 2 years when we played them again, but I just remember we were like fed up with them. I was like, I'm so mad. I hate App State. Like I was like still had that anger from last time. It really carried over that whole time, and then like it was a crazy comeback victory. And I remember like I believe it was raining, and I was sliding across the Cajun field with my boys next to me, and it was one of the best moments because I was like it felt good. I felt like we got payback. I felt great. When you actually get that sometimes, but it was cool. It's always good being with your boys. But the most like craziest game day experience, like I would agree, just experience wise, is when we went to College Station and played Texas A&M. The stadium's nice, but it was just the crowd. Like they were just in sync, and that it was just a good experience. I don't know. They're very like military heavy over there too. So it was cool to see all that discipline, all at once with all those people. And actually, their cheerleaders are guys. They're all guys. They're called yell leaders, and they do like weird. You've probably seen it. They do weird poses on the field to lead the crowd, and the crowd just like follows them. They follow them more than any cheerleading team, collegiate cheerleading team follows any crowd. I feel like they do it the best because the whole crowd is getting into it, and that was pretty cool. That was fun.
Okay, so I guess I gotta ask both of y'all this question here. So what? Okay, y'all said y'all went to high school. Why did y'all want to go continue pursuing this in college? Was it like scholarship, or was it chance to make friends? What about for you, Zane?
I think for me, I was just hooked after high school, like getting to go through that experience. And I only got to do it 1 year in high school. So seeing like, oh, this is what it's like to be like cheering at a football game. And then they take you through the national competition process in high school. And you're like, whoa, this is cool. I get to like work for an entire month and then go to Disney and perform in front of the country. Like that's cool. And then by the time you get to the end of the year, it's like, oh, it's over. And I have to graduate now. Like, what do I do? And UL puts on a cheer clinic where you can go in, meet the cheerleaders, and learn what it takes to try out. And at first, I was terrified of it. I was like, "Yeah, they're throwing people, holding them in one hand. Like, I don't know if I could do this." And actually, that's where I met Brandon for the first time. And he came up and was like, "Hey, bro, like you look like you got this." And after that, I was just like, it brought that drive back, and I wanted to try it. Like it was something I couldn't let go of once I got a taste of it.
Brandon, what about you?
Uh, Honestly, so again, when I started in high school, like I had the opportunity to catch my cheer squad. Our school went to nationals every year, and it was like around that time when state, comes up, and like how it works is I guess they got regional, they have state, and they got nationals in high school. And by the time I joined, they already finished regional, and like you got to do so well in each one to move up, or to at least have the UCA company pay for you to go because it's very expensive. But they were at state, and like they drew me in, and I remember like it was very like nerve wracking being like doing like a competition and getting ready for it. Like Zane could probably tell you about how nationals goes, but at the high school it was pretty much the same. Um, it was a little like I was like, oh, that was crazy. We did good, but I really wasn't feeling it that much. I wasn't thinking about college. It was when we went to nationals that like changed it for me because that kind of made me realize how big the world of cheerleading really is. Because they have people from different countries come to Disney World, and the ratio is ridiculous. Like that's all I'm gonna just leave it there. The ratio is ridiculous. And I remember I actually met the UL cheer coach. Her name is Courtney Begno. Shout out to her. She's awesome. Learned a lot from that woman. But I met her at nationals, and I just remember talking to her, and she was like, "Hey, where you planning on going to college from, or going to college to?" I was like, I'm honestly thinking about going to UL. I think they got a good architecture program. Just saying the stuff you're supposed to say. But she was like, "You should try out." And at first, when I was like, "Oh, I guess in college, cheerleader, I wasn't thinking about it. I thought it was like, college cheer. I didn't think, I thought it was, I thought it was another level. I didn't think I was ready for that at the time. But we ended up doing pretty good at nationals, and we ended up getting like a white jacket. And if you talk to any cheerleader that cheered and go to nationals, what a white jacket is, it's pretty much a very coveted item that few people, can get. You have to win. You have to do good, and not everybody can win, right? But there are different divisions. But after that, like so I actually went for. I actually had my friend help me drive from Slidell, where I went to school in Salmon High, to the tryout. It was just like that. I didn't go to any clinics or nothing. I was very like, unaware of how any of this worked. So I showed up, and like when you get to like cheerleading in college, it's kind of a weird mindset to where in tryouts, like the guys, Zay can agree, guys are like kind of scarce, like there's not too many guys who would try out to be a cheerleader. I mean, and like when you do see other cheer teams, it's like they have like good people, but it's hard to find guys. So like it's not as serious for guys, but it's very serious for girls. So I remember being very nervous, but when I made it, I was like kind of happy. And when I made it, I kind of just ran from there. It was my freshman year of college. I really enjoyed the attention it brought me freshman year. It's like being a mini celebrity kind of. It was just fun telling people I was a cheerleader because they'll be like, "What? You're a cheerleader?" Like then you just go into it, you just get into a conversation. I met a lot of people. I made a lot of friends that way, and so that kind of kept me going along until I got very serious about it and really was into it. So I would say nationals, doing that and meeting Courtney, and then like Zane knows about the block party. It happens for college, but the same thing happens for high school too. And when I experienced that for the first time, that was very fun, very, very fun. And when they told me that can happen in college, that was another motivational push for me to be like, okay, why not? I could do this in college too. Yes. So I would say, yeah, that was one of the main reasons why I did it. And then once I was in it, you're like hooked. It's like you're in it. You're in it to win it.
I went to one of those block parties before, and let me tell you, they put on a show over there. That was really nice to see. But yeah. So, like, take me through the day to day, guys. Y'all wake up at whatever time during the summer, in the fall. What goes on in day to day? What about it, Zane?
Well, I guess it kind of depends on what point in the year we're at. During that fall semester when football is going on, it's kind of all hands on deck. So we would have morning workouts a couple times a week. And what that's going to be is, you wake up at about 4:30, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, drive down to the athletic facility, and we would have a trainer designated for us that would help us out, and we would go through a full workout for that whole first hour and a half of the morning. From then you hurry up, you get home, you shower if you have time, you go to class throughout the entire day. Once you're done with class, you got practice, and we're practicing for 2.5 hours every evening, and that's just or 3 times a week, and that's just making sure that you're partner stunning most of that time, making sure that you know who your partner is for football, for game day, making sure y'all know what y'all are going to be doing on the sidelines. Plus, we have to put pyramids together whenever there's a group of us, and there's like 2 guys at the bottom, 2 girls on top, and then one on top of her. So guys are just sitting there either holding people up or having people stacked on their shoulders for multiple hours out of the week. And then it was kind of just repeat that cycle. You have to constantly be ready. So you're trying to catch a power nap when you can, but other than that, it's a lot of caffeine, a lot of lifting, and a little bit of praying that you can make it through the week.
Probably a lot of pre-workout too, right?
Oh goodness. Man.
Don't even get started.
Yeah, that's a whole other chapter, man. Pre-workout, energy drinks. We put a lot of caffeine in our systems over those 5 years.
What about you, Brandon? How was your day-to-day for you?
I would say actually before, like when I was a freshman, we didn't have the morning workouts yet. It wasn't like a thing yet because Courtney was kind of still new into her role. So our alternative for that time, my freshman year, we surprisingly had a granddaughter of Red Laurel of Reds. That on the team. So he was like, "Hey, y'all could use this Reds facility to work out whenever you guys want." And I was like, "What? That's crazy!" I was like, "Wow!" So that's what we did for the first like year. And then I remember when morning workouts finally came about, I felt like it was very challenging for me to really get on board. And looking back, I kind of regret the attitude I had with it. And I feel like I would have took it more seriously because when you're on a co-ed team with cheerleaders, it's girls and guys, and the guy, believe it or not, really sets the tone, and the girls kind of feed off of that tone. So I wish, looking back, if I would have took it more seriously, then maybe the girls would have taken it more seriously, and then if they would have taken it more seriously, that would help me out in the long run because girls in shape, in cheerleading is the way to go. They can't be out of shape. It's more work for you in the long run. So looking back, I wish I would have did it more. But so yeah, we started in the morning. Of course, I remember I really tried to avoid having 8 a.m.s, but I always got stuck with them. So I would have to go straight to get ready and go straight to class, and just do that. Once class was over, I believe practice would start around maybe 4 or 5. I could be wrong, 7. Like whatever time if that fit with everybody's schedule, because every year it could be different because everybody does have different classes, different majors. So after our school's done, practice and practice is, there's a rhythm of practice. You get there, you do your we do our workouts. It has evolved as I've moved up in the years. It wasn't as organized as it was when Zane got there. But we worked out in like kind of the things that a lot of people didn't like after workouts is we had to like kind of do some tumbling practice, and people who know how to tumble, that's not a problem, like that's like, jumping in the air and then jumping on your feet. But people who don't, it's kind of nerve wracking. You're like a little nervous I feel like that's the most nerve wracking part of practice, doing tucks. Cause even though me and Zane had the ability to do them, it was just that mental ability that people who have done it since they're kids wasn't there. So, we're taught to not do dumb things, and doing a tuck feels dumb. But when you do it, there's physics behind it, but it's nerve wracking. Nobody didn't want to do it, and it was kind of stressful. But after that, we got the stunt. It's fun just stunting around, doing, working on your skills. Like Zane said, we did the pyramids and everything. We did baskets, which they look cool, but for the guy, they're kind of painful. They're painful for actually both parties because the girl's in the air, she's hanging, hang time. Some girls can do it really good, some girls don't. But it's just if you do them a bunch of times, like in an hour, it kind of gets old, and you're like, where'd all these red marks come from? Like why I'm all bruised up? Like, and even the girl at the back, it happens. But we do all that. We're just getting better. Sometimes we change it up depending on like if it's closer to a game, we do more like game day rehearsal, making sure everybody knows what they're doing so we don't look stupid out there. We look like a cohesive unit. And I would say towards the end of the season, after football and basketball is kind of rolling in like December, we're getting ready for nationals. And I'm gonna let Zane talk about that first, and then I'm gonna get my opinion on that, because that stuff is that's imagine like if you play football, and every football player knows when you play football in high school, you got to do summer workouts. And if you live out here, that's one of the hardest things anybody could do if you think about it, because you're in this hot sun, you're working out and footballs and stuff. That's what I can kind of compare it to. It's and I'll let Zane take it away right there.
All right, putting Zane on the spot. What you got, Zane?
Okay, so I think Brandon nailed it earlier when he was kind of describing what nationals is. So national competition, they gather cheer teams from all across the country, and they bring them to Disney World at the ESPN Center of Sports, and it's a massive competition. Every team across multiple divisions has about a 3-minute routine. So when you get to that nationals, Matt, you kind of get one shot to get that routine right, and then hopefully you can move on to the next round. The work that leads up to doing that routine in Disney is a month straight of work. As soon as school gets out of that semester, and you're waiting for that Christmas holiday, we're working that entire time. Two practices a day. You start at about 10 a.m. Go for 2.5 hours. You get like an hour or two to go eat, catch a power nap, take more pre-workout, and then get back to work for another 2.5 or 3 hours, and you do that every single day for about a month and a half. And the stuff that goes into that routine, I mean, it's multiple stunts with multiple different partners. There's multiple pyramids, there's multiple basket throws, there's a cheer that you have to get every motion and word like down to like the exact timing with everybody, and everybody needs to be perfectly in sync and rolling. And I mean, Brandon and I played sports through high school, played baseball. I wrestled, football experience, and that was some of the most physically demanding work that I have ever done. Trying to make it through a nationals practice, just trying to make sure you get those stunts right, trying to make sure that everything is timed correctly, and you're running that stuff nonstop. You pretty much, our coach would break the routine down into sections, and you'd have that first section that has like three stunts, one that's really hard, one that's like your hardest stunt, and then one that's kind of in the middle. And you're going to run that over and over and over and over and over again. And then when you get it, we'll move on to the next one, run that one over. And then we're going to run both of those together over and over and over and over again. And then, you slowly build it up, and you just keep repping and running everything. And then, that last probably 2 weeks that you have before you leave for Disney is the most intense 2 weeks of your life, because you got the routine down. Now we got to continuously run it. So, you get the music right, everybody's counts are right. You're just repping that routine out, start to finish, over and over again for 2 weeks. And it's like that slow build, because, when you're around everybody for that much time, that consistently, people start to get tired as the weeks progress. They get a little agitated as the weeks progress, especially if, someone's not hitting all the stunts quite the right way. So, it builds you up mentally, it builds you up physically. And the thing that I noticed the most is that it really builds the team as a family, because by the time you get to nationals, you get to that routine, you get to perform that in front of the country with that group of, 15 people. It's such a special moment that you guys share together. So you get to see the full character arc of all of us being like excited to get started and hungry to, holy cow, I am exhausted and I don't think I can do this anymore, to like, all right, guys, we got to leave tomorrow, so let's get this right. You get through those routines, and by the end of it is just this feeling that's not even describable. You guys get back after you hit the routine, you get backstage and you just hug everybody. So it's the most challenging yet rewarding experience that I have had as an athlete, or pretty much ever up to this point. It's really something special.
And Brandon?
Man, he took the words out of my mouth. But man, I would say just like physically wise, or like physicality wise, just like the repetitiveness of the certain like pyramids. When we do like a pyramid over and over again, when we're doing the pyramid, we're actually holding, a girl on our shoulders, like their feet are on our shoulders, and then they have like another person on top of them. So like when you do that multiple times over and over and over again, like a lot of the guys who were under shoulders, I was one of them for a good bit. And like you develop like, your skin starts blistering and it starts getting bad. And like toward the end of nationals, like Zane said, when things are just at the highest level, it feels like at its worst, even like up to you compete. Like that gets worse. I feel like your body does deteriorate a little bit, because it's like you're doing, like, it's good to work out, but like doing it every day and everything, it's very demanding on your body at the same time. But I mean, it's necessary. I mean, since I was a freshman till I stopped my fifth year, I did it for 5 years, believe it or not. There was always like the coach or everybody be like, yeah, this year we're gonna like. Well, actually, my freshman year was like the first year we did it with the nationals for like a while. So I mean, that one we kind of was getting our stuff together. I'm not freshman year, it is what it is. But the next year, they were like, let's practice. Let's practice for nationals like in the middle of football season. Before it really gets to December. And a lot of the times, it ends up happening, but it kind of falls off because things get serious, towards November, October, November, because, the semesters and you got finals to worry about. People got to, you're there for college. So that comes first, regardless of anything. And it could sometimes get in the way of like national progress. like our national practice routine progress. And then usually most cases we just have like December until when school like is over until like school starts to do all of that and get ready for it. And it's very, very intense. Very intense. But I would say like
That stress level be like way up to there. I'm pretty sure
yeah,
you're trying to get to that top level when you like,
I
okay, I got to give
I definitely
110%
agree.
to reach up here. We're right here, but we need to get up here.
And like it's kind of crazy because like you when you're on a cheer squad or any team, there's no such thing as somebody carrying a person on a team. Sometimes, maybe in football, but but in cheer, like you got to play your part. And if somebody's not playing their part, like you really feel that in nationals when they're not playing that part. And like people people start getting frustrated, and it kind of really like overall, like Zane said, it's everything all at once. Like what that movie crazy. Like it's everything all at once. It's crazy, like team building experience, intention. Like people are high, but when things like you get past certain milestones, like people get happy. There's a lot of team bonding that we do during nationals because like when we're in nationals, we're still at UL. We're still in like when I was a freshman, I was still at the dorm and nobody was there. It was a complete ghost town. It was very weird. But so after when you're not practicing or not working, I used to work, but you're not practicing or working. You're hanging out with the team. Like you're with the team that whole month, pretty much 24/7. And I feel like that's like the crazy part, being with those people for a while, and then at the end, I never really through my years of cheering and then up until like Zane, last year of cheering, I never really seen like a catastrophic failure of a national like season to where like all of that work didn't amount to the team still being very happy, satisfied of the outcome, and like what they put in. I've seen other college teams, I won't give any names, but they are in this state with us. Like I've seen like you see like their finished product, like when somebody when we finally get to compete and make it to that next level if we do make it that far. But when everybody finally first competes the first time, that kind of like all of that work up until now, like this is what you got to show for. And I've never seen like any UL team up until, I guess I haven't seen it since I've been cheering a catastrophic failure to where it looked like a mess. And like, what have you been doing all this time? Like, what was all that work for nothing? Like, it always felt very rewarding in the end. And I feel like that's a testament to the people that I cheered with, to Zane, to all of the people that I cheered with. Like, they were like, when times got very hard and very difficult and very confusing because during nationals at the same time, all that stuff's going on, people are getting hurt. Like a lot of like the national teams that start, that roster, that first roster that starts that first week is not the same roster that ends that when people compete because the injuries happen, people getting tired. We are throwing people in the air again. I've seen very, very like traumatic things on the cheer mat because people were tired. They didn't really care. They really didn't, what they wasn't watching out for their partner. And that's one thing that I really try to pride myself in, that just to make sure, because the tighter that trust is you have with that your partner that you cheer with, the more that she will let you drill her and let you do stuff with her. But off that tangent, just injuries are like a thing. Like during nationals, like people are getting hurt left and right. You're like, dang, okay, we gotta get this new person in. We gotta get him good, and then like that at that time, we're trying to get everybody good, and then there's a lot of pieces moving all at once, not just us having practice every day, but like at that time for a lot of teams, I don't know why, but a lot of teams goes through this one guy for their music. And during nationals, everybody's like, hey, I want music for nationals. We need to start getting ready. And for some reason, we're like, we always get our music like 2 weeks before nationals. So the whole time we're like practicing for nationals, we're not even listening to the music that we're performing to. Like half
So
the
it's
time. And
just
then
like a
once we
whole
get it,
blur, basically. Kind of
it
like
very
we're
is.
like in the zone, adrenaline rushing, that kind of thing. So I guess I'm gonna go with one more question here. We got like a little bit of time left here, but like one sentence you had to say to wrap it up. So like a freshman that's going to college that's thinking about being a cheerleader for UL. What's your sales pitch to him saying? One sentence.
One sentence. Oh boy. It was the best experience of my life, and I hope everyone can experience it for themselves.
Brandon?
If you're having doubts, you won't regret it. That's all I gotta say.
All right. Thank y'all guys for joining me here on the Fishbowl and having this very insightful interview here about Raging Cajun cheerleading. I know they placed nationals last year in ninth. That was a very big thing for UL. I think it was the highest finish in Raging Cajun cheerleading history. So we hope to see bigger things in the future from the Raging Cajun cheerleader. Thank you for hanging out with me, guys.
No problem,
Hey,
no problem.
Fishbowl, go Cajuns, man. Go Cajuns.
Go.
All right.
This guy.
Thank y'all for tuning into the Fishbowl Radio here, everybody. This is a very insightful, episode here that we had here. I didn't, they were really detailed and informative about what it means to be a Raging Cajun cheerleader with the whole process and stuff. So I hope y'all enjoy as much. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We even have a Threads page too because it's a new thing. So y'all sign up for it. It's a pretty cool little app there. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hope you have a great and wonderful week. We'll see y'all next time here on the Fishbowl Radio. Have a good night, Fishbowl Nation.